Firstly, I will discuss on the first issue, which is the concept of sustainability. Sustainability refers to the ability of something to maintain itself over time. Meanwhile, in business, sustainability are determined by physical and natural resources, environmental degradation, and social resources. The concept of sustainability divided into three concepts, which is economic, environmental, and social. The concept of economic sustainability focus on the portion of natural resources that provide physical input for economic production. Meanwhile, the concept of environmental sustainability focus on the life support system such as atmosphere or soil that must be maintained for economic production. And lastly, the concept of social sustainability focus on the human effect on economic system, include the attempt to eradicate poverty and hunger. Next, I will continue with the environmental management accounting, or known as EMA. Is the identification, collection, analysis, and use of two types of information for internal decision making. The first is the physical information on the use, flows, and rate of energy, water, and materials. Next, the second is monetary information on the environment-related cost, earning, and saving. EMA addresses the management information needs of managers for corporate activities that affect the environment as well as environment-related impacts on the corporation. EMA support managers to make better decisions by informing them about environmental impact on organization beyond its boundaries and about the environmental issues that influence the organization. EMA can help identify win-win situations that improve both economic and environmental performance. To do this, EMA provides relevant monetary and physical information to managers to support decisions that's specific to their role in the organization. That's all from me. I will pass to the next presenter.
Thank you, Muhammad Zarif, for the inputs and explanations. So now I will proceed to present the environmental costs and benefits. Without further ado, let's get into it. First and foremost, what is environmental cost? It refers to the expenses incurred by an organization to avoid, analyze, and reporting on environmental issues. It comprises of the expenditures incurred by an organization as a result of non-compliance with environmental standards, some which may last for years. Next is environmental cost benefit analysis, or CBA. It is a term that refers to the economic evaluation of policies and initiatives with the explicit goal of increasing the supply of environmental remediation or activities that may have an implicit effect on the environmental. Significant advancements have occurred as a result of the challenges posed by environmental problems and environmental policies, or CBA. So let's proceed to the objectives of environmental costs and benefits. First is to enhancing socio-economic organizations, both with local authorities and the governments, in order to conduct a correction evaluation, then determining whether the potential gain surpass the expenditures. Moreover, to adhere to the government-imposed regulations, and finally, to incentivize businesses to practice environmental stewardship. The next part of this explanation is the categorization of environmental costs. The first cost is prevention costs. It is the cost associated with preventing waste creation. Preventive costs indicate a company's attempts to avoid issues and turn them into advantages. Companies can gain a long-term competitive advantage by reducing and finally eliminating pollution. Examples of prevention costs are evaluation and selection of pollution control equipment, process design, environmental research, and development of eco-management systems. The second cost is detection costs. Detection costs are the expenditures expended or the cost of operations performed to ascertain if a commodities process and other firm-related activities conform with applicable regulations and environmental requirements. Because the company is aware and concerned about environmental concerns, so they will adhere to all of the applicable rules and regulations in order to safeguard the environment for the benefit of society. Auditing green initiatives, testing for pollution, confirming supplier environmental performance, and monitoring contamination levels are all examples of detection expenses. Internal failure costs that are incurred when operations produce toxins and trash that are not discharged correctly into the environment. The cost of removing and managing waste expenses associated with internal failure includes managing pollution control systems, processing and dumping toxic waste, and recycling scrap. For example, a company that creates contaminated products should recycle scrap, which would be the expenditure of goods that cannot be reworked or reused. Next is external failure costs. It is costs that incurred after trash is discharged into the environment. For example, a polluted lake, poisoned soil, medical negligence claims. And external failures costs are realized and unrealized. External failure costs realized and paid by the company. For example, if a firm contributes to environmental degradation, it must bear the cost of fines and penalties. The corporation causes unrealized external failure costs which are borne and paid by the others. For example, due to the company's natural degradation, so the society will bear this cost. The final part of my presentation is the 5 tiers of environmental costs. The first cost is conventional costs. It includes capital expenditures, raw materials, and other operational and maintenance costs. Most of the company's accounting systems have standard costs, but they may not be reported in a way that the management can easily access environmental expenditures. Those include cost of purchasing environmental friendly equipment and plants. It is not uncommon for environmental expenditures to be included in accounting and budgetary control. Next is hidden costs. It is a cost that are recognized by financial accounting but then reclassified as general overheads. For instance, the expense of measurement and reviewing operation necessary to ensure that compliance with the rules and regulations. These costs are also recorded in the financial statement system, but they may be difficult to locate and report due to their frequent concealment within multiple overhead accounts and the expense of wages and salaries. Contingent cost is the future cost which might or might not occur. It is best to be expressed in terms of probability as predicted by values range or probability of exceeding a certain quantity. For example, remediation and compensation costs for potential unintentional pollutant releases such as oil spills. This cost originates from the company's contingent obligations. Contingent responsibility arises from the consequences of an unknown future occurrences. Next, we have relationship and image costs. There are environment expenses that are considered intangible because they may affect management, consumers, employees, communities, and regulators, which is subjective to perceptions. Relationship and company image charges. They are intangible due to the direct benefits of the relationship and image cost. Finally, the final cost is societal costs. This is costs which incurred by the organization on others, including the environment and the society. The society and the environment cannot be blamed for social costs since they may not be legally liable based on the legal system. That is all for my inputs and explanations in Seminar 2. I will pass the floor to the next presenter. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum and very good day to Miss Delela and all my fellow friends. So my name is Muhammad Fadilah bin Adrus and I will be presenting on question B. Okay, I will explain and discuss the environment and social impact of business organization in terms of positive and also in terms of negative. Firstly, the positive impact for environment and social for business organization is the business organization will gain more trust from their stakeholder. This is because the business organization takes a serious responsibility on their operation toward the environment and social. Stakeholder has vested interest in company and can affect business operation and performance. For example, communities also identify as one of a stakeholder. Therefore, it is important for business organization to gain their stakeholder trust in environmental management. Furthermore, public aware on environmental issue and can also increase sales for business organization because the demand for goods or services that environmentally friendly is also increases. Next positive impact is creating a good the organization image and their reputation. It will attract more people to support their business because people see the business is concerned about the environmental and social aspect. Good image and reputation are important for a good first impression because it is a reflection on how the society and customers seeing at a company. Positive image can build by business organization if they are contributing some of their revenue back to the society and environment. According to Kumpulan Perangsang Selangor Berhad website kps.com.my on 11 November 2020, companies that excel in the Malaysian sustainability and corporate arena will receive the Sustainability and CSR in Malaysia 2020 award. Lastly, the positive impact is management risk. Litigation risk can be eliminated by complying the laws and regulations set by authority. Litigation risk is the risk an individual or company will face legal action. For example, according to Utusan Malaysia on 12 June 2021, any factory operator who dumps toxic waste in Sungai Pahang will face legal action under the Environmental Quality Act 1974. Besides, the business organization can avoid paying penalties if they meet the regulation and local requirement. And now I am going to explain more about the negative impact of environment and social impact of business organization. Firstly, it will incur additional cost to business organization. After that, business organization need to invest and buy an expensive technology in managing the environment. For example, factory must incur the cost to buy a special machine to manage their waste effectively and safely. In addition, business organization also need to incur more costs for training labor that can manage the waste and also include costs associated with environmental costs. For example, cost of packaging, cost of water treatment, and cost of disposing of the business waste. Other than that, the negative impact is increase on product and services price. Because of additional costs incurred in business organization, the business organization also need to increase the price for product and services in order to cover the additional cost. Next, the business organization need to increase their product price because they need raw material that is eco-friendly. For example, business organization previously used standard plastic as a raw material for packaging, but after the business organization implements environmental management, they have to pay more to make product packaging with more environmentally friendly materials such as biologically sourced plastic.
Hi, my name is Norfila Damia binti Jepri, and next I will present about current initiative undertaken by Petronas with respect to social aspect. Firstly, diversity and inclusion. In Petronas, they will support that the establishment of Petronita Crèche, a childcare center, was established as part of an initiative by Petronas Association of Wife and Female Employees to help working mothers and encourage female employees retention. They also established a flexible working arrangement for pregnant employees for up to 28 weeks, which is 7 months of pregnancy, allowing them to leave work 1 hour earlier than usual. Apart from that, paternity leave of 5 working days was implemented, despite the fact that it is not statutory requirement. Next, human rights. Petronas implemented an e-learning module to educate employees on their commitment to human rights principles as well as the effects and mitigation measures for social risk. They also conducted the social risk assessment to assess and mitigate social risk in the areas where they operate. In accordance with Petronas human rights commitment, the assessment emphasizes 4 key areas, which are community well-being, supply chain management, labor and working condition, and responsible security. Lastly, occupational safety and health. Petronas place the utmost priority on the health and safety of their employees and stakeholders. The HSE efforts focus on compliance, competency, and culture. Firstly, compliance. It drives compliance on HSE and process safety. Compliance to all HSE regulation is very important to ensure that there will be no incidents at the workplace. Besides competency, they try to enhance competencies in process safety and land transportation. They work continuously with their transportation vendors to ensure a high level of safety standards along their logistic value chains, and they also ensure a reliable and safe product delivery to the customer. Furthermore, culture. It reinforces the role of leadership and personal accountability. They will seek to nurture a generative HSE culture in which everyone takes responsibility of their own safety and others.
Good morning, Miss. I will proceed with the current initiative undertaken by Petronas with respect to environment aspect. Firstly, emissions. Petronas declares aspirations to achieve net zero carbon emissions by 2050. This stress Petronas' efforts to reduce carbon emissions to net zero and create new and inclusive opportunities that contribute towards a just transitions where Petronas operate. Firstly, building on operational excellence strength, and secondly, make cleaner energy more accessible. Petronas also committed to minimizing flaring through measures such as embedding zero continuous flaring features to reduce low-pressure flare gas, renewable energy installations that displace the need to import electricity into operations will help to reduce the Scope 2 GHG emission. Next, energy. INSTEP has collaborated with TNB Energy Service Sinar Berhad to reduce energy consumptions and costs. In addition, INSTEP is expected to save approximately 407,880 kilowatt per year energy consumptions that will reducing carbon dioxide emissions by 283 tons. On the other hand, Petronas Canada has significantly reduced carbon footprint through utilizing solar panel and also installed and tested a 20 kilowatt peak power generations and air compression system at its remote well site. Then, biodiversity. There is now a greater demand for the business to play a bigger role in biodiversity and ecosystem management and conservation. So here, Beacon Project, which is Petronas through MLNG Sinar Berhad and Sarawak Forestry Corporations, deploy around 1,500 units of artificial reef balls. And here, Petronas also subscribed to the Integrated Biodiversity Assessment Tools, which providing data sets on the biodiversity, and they also performing EIA. And then, in addition, Petronas Charigali Mexico operations is also pioneering the group's turtle conservation efforts in Mexico. This effort is to conserve Mexico wildlife, especially in the area where Petronas operates. Beacon also aims to educate the general public on the importance of preserving biodiversity.
Next, I will present about the current initiative undertaken by Hibiscus Petroleum with respect to social aspect. Firstly, workforce diversity and inclusivity. Hibiscus Petroleum committed to recognizing the importance of diversity. Their employees are treated with dignity and respect regardless of their age, gender, ethnicity, nationality, disability, and so forth. They also continue to take positive steps to increase their workforce diversity, which provides equal opportunities, is free of discrimination, and encourage equal treatment for men and women. For example, they will ensure that there will be no preference for one gender over another for a position. It also indicates here that latest by 30 June 2021, the group gender for female is 65 and male is 282. Next, human rights. Hibiscus Petroleum continue to adhere to internationally recognized human rights and labor standards as outlined in their anti-modern slavery policy. They do not use force, bonded, underage labor, and take all reasonable steps to ensure that slavery does not exist in their business or supply chain. On top of that, as a further demonstration of their commitments to their key stakeholders, including their communities, they expanded their whistleblower policy. This provides a confidential and anonymous channel for individuals and communities affected by human rights violation resulting from their business operation. Lastly, occupational health and safety. In North Sabah PSC, they will do a continuous observation and analysis of trends in proactive intervention practices such as the completion and follow-up of accident control techniques, findings at the business unit level, enable the HSSE function to monitor and gauge overall focus areas that required constant and close monitoring. These procedures enable the identification of potential areas for improvement as well as the elimination of unsafe acts and conditions. While in Anasurya cluster, during the final year of 2021, there will be a campaign to raise safety awareness among employees. Several campaigns were rolled out of shores, manual handling, covering mental health awareness, and spatial awareness. The ability to conduct more hands-on or formal awareness training seasons was limited due to COVID-19 restriction. That's all from me. Thank you.
This slide is about the Hibiscus Petroleum Current Initiative related to environment aspect. Firstly, emissions. The group ensures that air emissions are monitored and measures are put in place to reduce the potential impact on local community and environment. Firstly, dust particulate monitoring for fuel burning equipment is performed annually to ensure compliance with the legal requirement, and then annual dark smoke observations and annual declarations of air emissions at LCOT to the Department of Environment. Then, Hibiscus Petroleum endeavors to use energy and natural resources efficiently. They previously mentioned that in North Sabah, all remote location jacket platforms are entirely powered by renewable energy initiative. North Sabah PSC installed solar photovoltaic and wind turbine system at their facilities to reduce carbon footprint as part of fuel switching initiative. The solar PV supplies electricity for wireless communications, flare ignition system, and marine lanterns. A portion of the gas produced by the fields is used as fuel gas and is supplemented by diesel. These are used to power turbines and engines on the Anasurya. And lastly, biodiversity is an essential component of ecological balance. North Sabah PSC stated that biodiversity includes marine algae, marine fishes, marine reptiles, seagrasses, mangrove, and also coral reef. They regularly assess the impact of their operations on surrounding environment, and on the top of that, EIA is also performed to analyze the impact of activities related to the environment. And lastly, they also performing quarterly monitoring on seawater quality around North Sabah operations to ensure that there has been no significant impact on the sea. And I think that's all from me, and I will pass to the next presenter.
Thank you, Mas Nur Sabrina. Now, I'm Jasper Safari, will present on the comparisons of Petronas and Hibiscus Petroleum Berhad in terms of environmentals and social management. Firstly, I will compare on the workplace safety, which is on the social aspects. So, the workplace safety is regarding the health and also the safety by focusing on the aspects of accidents frequency and work-related injuries for both companies. Both companies disclosed on the number of injuries that happened in the year of 2019 and also 2020. It's shown that Petronas have higher fatalities and also injuries rates. Okay, next part is regarding the environmental aspect, which is on the emissions of greenhouse gas. We will focusing on the emission rates, the method of disposal, and also the types of gas emissions. Both companies have disclosed on the emissions of greenhouse gas per tons of carbon dioxide and also the methods of disposals. Both companies using the same approach on the disposal of the gas. However, Hibiscus Petroleum Berhad's total greenhouse gas emissions is increased by the year as compared to Petronas that decreasing on the total of greenhouse gas emissions for the year 2019 and also 2020. Next, also on the environmental aspects, which is on the water and effluent. We will focus on the water discharge per year, reason of discharge, and also the dispose and approach on the water to be discharged. Both companies disclose on the water and effluents and also disclose the approach taken to handle the effluent disposed. As comparisons, the amounts of effluent discharged by Petronas is decreasing from year 2019 to 2020, which indicate that the approach they taken is working. As for Hibiscus Petroleum Berhad, some of the information has not been disclosed. However, they have disclosed the amount of effluent discharge that also shows that they are decreasing on the amount discharged by the year 2019 also 2020. Next, also on the environmental aspects, which is on the energy. Both companies taking serious on started using renewable energy. However, only Petronas disclosed on the total energy generated on their annual reports. As for Petronas, energy produced by the solar PV is increasing every year, which is also impact the reductions of greenhouse gas emissions. As for Hibiscus, they did not disclose on the total energy generated, but they mentions on the initiative taken to reduce the energy consumed by switching to cleaner form of power generations. Alright, next on the environmental aspect also, which is on the biodiversity. We focusing on the management of biodiversity, preservation and conservation of ecosystem, and also the involvement by the company in maintaining the ecosystem. Both companies disclose on the initiative taken to maintain the ecosystems. As for Petronas, they have subscribed to the Integrated Biodiversity Assessment Tool, which is known as IBAT, and also they have conduct program for biodiversity to protect the biodiversity and also to conserve the biodiversity to maintain the ecosystems. As for Hibiscus Petroleum Berhad, they will empower on the environment policy and also voluntarily carry out a baseline environmental site assessment as known as ESA at Labuan Crude Oil Terminal as known as LCOT. As for conclusions, based on our discussion, we found out that Petronas is more in compliance with the sustainability reporting guidelines by Bursa Malaysia in aspects of environment and social aspects as compared to Hibiscus Petroleum Berhad. Also, in terms of philanthropy, we found out that Petronas have more programs and also initiative to conduct their responsibility for the peoples and also for the environment. So for overalls, both Petronas and also Hibiscus Petroleum Berhad comply with the sustainability reporting guidelines that are provided by Bursa Malaysia. Okay, that's all from us. Thank you.